John and I were very close because John came on behind my other sons 10 years later and was quite a surprise. And so at that point, my other sons were pretty well grown in high school, and some were starting to move off to college. And so actually John and I became very close because his brothers weren't around that long. But he had a lot of friends in high school. He was in the band, and he played trombone, and he was into music. He did play some tennis. He was not into any of the major big sports. I never worked, and so I was always home, and when he lived in Philadelphia, we would go down quite often. And actually, he and I had a connection because I understood him. His father didn't. His father didn't understand why his son would be gay. We made the quilt in York, and we put it together, and then we took it to I'm not sure if he was a shoemaker or someone to sew it, because they're heavy. Early on, we were quite taken with the thing, and it has 6 panels in it, and friends contributed. He has one friend that was an artist. And then we tried to do things pertaining to him. And he had 2 ladies who were ministers at our church who were very good to him. And they used to take him golfing. And they couldn't golf, and neither could he. But they would get out there and have fun. Well, the one that is in the upper corner is a picture of John with his hat. And he always wore a hat, and he usually wore it backwards. So that's typical John. And the picture in the center is my 4 sons with John. My other 3 sons with John. And the picture in the upper left corner is the golf picture that the ladies did for us. And then the pictures at the bottom were done by family. This is a picture that John painted, and we used it for his bulletin at the service when he was memorialized. And that's a picture of that. This picture was painted by a friend of his from high school who paints, and she did that for his quilt. And this is a picture of St. Joe's Pennant. He really enjoyed school there, and that's where he graduated from St. Joe's. And then the picture on the right is a hand that one of my grandchildren did, and they wanted to be a part of the thing also. The picture in the middle is a picture of the Trojan emblem there, which is a high school emblem. He was in the band. He played trombone. And that's a picture of one of the awards. In the very center is a picture of jazz. He loved jazz. And that pretty much describes, I think I did, most of the pictures. I supported John in anything and everything because I was his buddy. And we were very close, And he moved a couple times, and when he did, I didn't get to see him, but in the end, he ended up in Philadelphia, which was fairly close, and we would go down quite often, especially after he became sick. We would go down regularly every week, sometimes twice a week, and call in the meantime and keep tabs on him. He had a very good doctor down there, and I knew he was at the right place, because the last couple of days at home were not pretty and not good, and we knew he had to be hospitalized. We used to shop together. He was a shopper, and so am I. And so when I went to Philly, we always went shopping, and then we'd go out to eat. And he was a good dresser, and he liked clothes. And so we looked for things for him quite often. But if he saw something that he thought I should wear, he'd tell me. He said, "You need to buy that." So we were buddy-buddy, rather than son and mom. He really, we related very well. We were told he was gay, and Herb took him to a special doctor in Harrisburg because he didn't want to do anything in New York because he said everybody will know. Mm-hmm. So we took him to Harrisburg to a doctor, and I went with him. And we sat there, and this doctor said, "Your son is gay, and you aren't going to be able to change that. You can try, you can do whatever, you know." But he said, as long as he has those genes, he said, "You're given those at birth." And he said, "There's nothing that we can do." And so that's when my husband really was bummed, because he thought we'd cure him. At the very end, he lived with us before we had placed him in the hospital. Before the end, some nights got really bad. He would go to the bathroom and fall, and I couldn't handle him. And my husband did come through and take care of him when I needed him. So it was a hard road, but we managed. And John, I think, was in the hospital a couple weeks. And you know, they flew by. I don't want to say definitely, but I'll say 2 or 3 weeks until he died. It's a connection you have. It's the only connection I have because he's ashes. So it's my connection.